Hi, I'm Professor Leslie Moller, along with the other two professors. Was lucky enough to collaborate in the design of this course in human performance technology. One of the projects, and what this is the intro to, is the Shepard Insurance case study. The Shepard Insurance case study was a real client of mine a few years back. The names, as I used to say in Jagnet, have been changed to protect the innocent, but I want to give you a little sort of background or intro to it. One of my former students was an instructional designer, the only one at the Shepard Insurance Company. He worked along with 6 to 8 trainers. Now, they were not trained at all in training or education. They had been claims representatives. And a problem had come up that was really beyond the skill of just an instructional designer, so they brought me in as a consultant. What started all this was the quality control people noticing that there was a regular 30% error rate on their claims, approximately 25 to 30%. So we went in and we started by meeting with the lovely woman who was the quality control administrator. And what she had suggested, or identified I should say, was that the errors were all clustered. So, somebody might have learned 250 or 300 rules, but the errors weren't spread across those. Maybe 10 of those rules or 20 of those rules, everybody would get wrong in, say, a 30-day period. Then the next 30 days, we'd have, once again, another 30% error rate, but it would be isolated to 10 to 20 of the different rules. Now, I'm sure many of you have experienced with insurance companies that what works one time, a couple months later, due to changes in what they're going to cover, new drugs, arrangements with hospitals, etc., that what they covered before, they don't currently cover. So the rules are basically not stable. They're constantly floating. The training consisted of 6 weeks of sitting in a classroom, memorizing the approximately 250 to 300 rules, and those rules guided what they paid and what they didn't pay. At the end of that, the training, the test of that was that, it was a recall test, basically a multiple choice. Now, from an instructional design point of view, we all kind of know recall and just testing, people memorize things isn't the greatest or strongest way of learning. I mean, personally, I would have preferred more of an application type of test. But anyway, we wanted to set out, so the first thing we did was looked at the test and all the training, and it did cover all the material. Nothing was left out. The testing was fair. It did show that they had memorized the rules. Yet, once they left the classroom and went on a job, they were not performing. So we covered all our bases by identified where the errors were, and one thing we noticed, and this is a big clue, the errors kept changing. The second thing we noticed was the people were well prepared, but what they were prepared for was somewhat out of date. I'm going to stop there because I don't want to tip off too much of the case study, and when it's over with, I'll come back and do another video like this and give you a little bit more insight of what we came across, what the results were. I must say I was very proud of how things turned out once we applied it, but this is a perfect illustration of when HPT, Human Performance Technology, really works better than training. If you've taken a basic ISD instructional systems design course, one of the 3 rules we know about doing training is the content has to be stable. When it's not stable, you can't train people. And stable means what's true today is going to be, reasonably true in the short term, once somebody leaves training. That was not the case here. So we redesigned the training in a much more effective way, but I'm not going to tell you what that is because that's your job. Enjoy the case study. You have my word, it is a true case study for the most part. A few parts where it might have been exaggerated to make the point in a short period of time, but it was a real company and we actually had very good results. So thank you, enjoy the case study, and work hard. Bye-bye.